Long ago, in the ancient times of 2012, a rumor surfaced among the masses of men, women, and chronologically unknown non-binaries who were fans of Marvel and games. With the bewildering success of titles like Spider-Man 1 and 2, X-Men Origins, Wolverine, and Marvel vs. Capcom, it was time for Earth's mightiest heroes to stand on their 10 feet respectively, in an all-out bombastic party co-op first-person brawler under the watchful eye of the renowned THQ. I give you Marvel's Avengers! THQ shut down. Rip Saints Row, I guess. Oh, and canceled the game? Fuck. No. No. Looks like I'm gonna have to deal with... In 2017, after noticing the incredible reaction to Insomniac Spider-Man's E3 trailer, everyone's favorite never-ending story developer decided to grab the reins and remnants of the Avengers and created what would be an entertaining new take on an Avengers storyline on next-gen consoles. The graphics, stellar. Gameplay, explosive, so it all came down to the release. And it was terrible. A buggy, half-baked mess filled with microtransactions, repetitive gameplay, and a lack of base game content. And it just wasn't what we expected. Or even conceived in the minds of the fans. But in late development of 2020, Corona game. This dumb fuck should have stuck to Modelo. This would-be money printer of an idea managed to flop dramatically, leading to low player numbers and basically no attention in the game's presses at the time. And that led a 19-year-old Karionyte to play version update 2.0, this being a much better envisioned and technically sound run of what Marvel's Avengers was supposed to be. And this is what I had to say about... The following video will touch on story beats, gameplay, and overall enjoyment. I feel like it's not enough info to be considered an essay. But, fair warning, this is a biased take from the mind of a 19-year-old me 4 years ago. And because of this, we have to set some ground rules and explanations for the way that I think as a fan of Marvel. Avid MCU follower. I've seen all the mainline MCU films in release order in cinema, either on release day or shortly thereafter. This includes the now half-canon X-Men, Deadpool, Fantastic Four, and extended Spider-Verse films. Slightly more than casual comic reader, grew up on, was raised with, or have read, watched comic storylines well enough to know 9 out of 10 characters I'd ever see on the screen. And here's the big one. Toxic opinion. I don't like Miss Marvel. I don't think she's funny, I don't think she's charming, or anything. This opinion is consistent in my heart and mind no matter what media she's been in, I get it. She's a stand-in for the comic fan. She's literally a nerd, like we're supposed to be like, oh, she's just like us! And that, my friends, is my main issue with her. She's more than just a fan of superheroes. She's a weeb. She's a weeb for the Avengers. She's literally writes self-insert fanfiction. We've seen that happen on screen.
Think about this later. It's cool with you, Hulk?
Fine.
Good. I'll make your narrative arc seriously awesome.
I don't see it as cute anymore, it just comes off as painfully cringy, like the cringiest thing I've ever seen. Like, Kamala looks at Captain America the way that your friend from high school looks at Jimin and the other BTS niggas. So here are my takes.
Alright, let's do this one last time.
Oh shit, here we go again.
The game opens up with you as Kamala Khan, our soon-to-be Miss Marvel. The marketing for the game showed Kamala a bit off to the side next to our signature Avengers, so I knew that she'd be playable, expected as much, but I had no idea what I was in for.
Why call it the Golden Gate Bridge if it's not golden?
There are so many other kids. I bet their stories are all amazing.
Competition is what makes us strong.
What if they don't like my story? What if it doesn't fit in? It's gotta be perfect, you know?
When you were born, your brother said you had googly eyes.
What?
But I thought your eyes were the most beautiful things I had ever seen. We are all unique.
I love you, Abu.
I love you more. And I'm pretty sure you're gonna win this thing.
What's this Pixar shit, cuh? I've consistently liked Kamala's dad, as I've seen Miss Marvel on Disney+, and her family is literally the best part. My hope is that by the end of the game, maybe I'd like Miss Marvel. It definitely gave me enough time with her to form an opinion. More than enough time. Also, why do they give this bitch the same name as the Vice President? Like, I know Miss Marvel was first, but it really fucks with my brain every time I hear it. Enters gameplay, have to be cringe character, cringe. Kamala's going to an Avengers convention with her father, where Earth's mightiest heroes, TM, will be unveiling their new stunning piece of technology, the Terrigen Reactor. This won't be imported at all!
Nothing. It's some little thing. Just getting some strange readings off the reactor. George, maybe you were right. Maybe we were too hasty to put this on public display. Do you think we could run over the numbers just one more time?
Oh, yes, certainly.
Thank you. I'm so sorry.
I really have to compliment the attention to detail at this little AvengeCon, or whatever they called it. The arcade games were goated, Billy style. After meandering and fiddling with every game I could, I finally got to meet Thor, God of Thunder. I'm gonna bust!
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
What atrocity is this? Apologies. You're very small and hard to see. There is no need to cower before a son of Odin, though I understand the impulse.
Thor is played by Travis Willingham, and of course he is. He's a stellar fit for the role both in real life and in the game, and the performances in the campaign are compelling and realistic. They tried really hard to set themselves aside from the MCU cast, and it shows in all but one, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Troy Baker Bruce Banner is a different kind of incredible. For those of us who've had a crush on Mr. Mean and Green, giving him the soulful mid-range voice that led millions to play The Last of Us in 2013, it only makes everybody wet. Every Avenger introduction is exquisite. From Tony's bombast to Bruce's sorrow and uncomfortability, Natasha's unyielding confidence, Steve's American way, and Thor's autistic silliness. No disrespect to Jeff Sheen, but Mance is pretty nothing voice actor prior to all this, although he did do a great job. I mean, Steve is a pretty white bread character in most cases, so personally I feel like it probably would have benefited from a Chris Evans impression than an entirely new take.
Oh no, this doesn't look good. We should get out of here. Come.
Sounds pretty big for an accident.
There are no accidents.
Thor, Tony, check it out. At once.
Try to keep up.
Prep the Quinjet net. Just in case.
On it.
Now let's talk about combat. We've been running around the game for about 20 minutes, and I've not thrown a punch yet, so let's see how it feels to be a god of thunder! Thunder! Thunder god! Blam! Thor gameplay fun. The combat can be better, it's pretty rudimentary at its core, standard dodge button, heavy and standard attacks, a handful of unique character powers, and it's definitely competent. But for a game that I'm going to be playing long term, this combat is repetitive, and sometimes underwhelming. It definitely holds a spectacle and looks cool to watch, but I feel like there's little to any true control about what you're trying to do. So I give like a 6 out of 10. Which isn't like the worst, it's just not for me. It's giving ESO without the complexity of having hundreds of spells and attacks to put on your character. Tony as a flyer is a lot of fun. His Proton Cannon and Repulsor Blast feel really great to use, but I'm not really prepared to complain about him yet. The Hulk's beefy and world-shattering strength is felt with every punch and slam down to his thunderclap. And let's touch on Natasha's combat. I love the Arkham games, and man does she play like Catwoman. I find the more grounded human characters end up being more fun to play because they just seem leveled right, you know? The hits really connect realistically, and they're quick on their toes. Later in the game, Nat's given this electric bow staff and her own Super Saiyan mode, and she just rips and flips straight through the shit. While you're getting used to the Avengers-style gameplay, it's brought to your attention that this was an inside job.
Next time, take better notes. Guess you saw that coming, huh?
You think you've won?
What the hell are you talking about?
Look around, Romanov. The world will remember this day. The day their heroes failed them.
What's happening here?
The city's collapsing.
The Avengers were to be distracted and avert their gaze from what's truly important. The energy source about to explode in the San Francisco Bay.
Damn it, they played us. Steve, can you hear me? Get the hell out of there!
Screw this.
I'm sure they'll have time to fix it. I mean, Steve's already on his way. Oh no. Time skip. 5 years later. The Avengers Initiative is defunct. Our world's strongest heroes, TM, scattered across the globe due to being blamed for the explosion in San Fran, a detonation giving superpowers and mutations to an incalculable amount of innocents, killing thousands who didn't react properly. Inhumanism is a disease that must be excised, extracted like a cancer.
A virus.
Inhumanism.
No disease. The cancer of this planet. Your plague.
And that's where the likes of MODOK stand. George Tarleton worked on the Terrigen reactor with Bruce Banner and Monica Rappaccini. After the critical failure and cataclysm under the Golden Gate Bridge, Mr. Tarleton builds a new company outside of his old Avenger ties, Advanced Idea Mechanics, or AIM for short. All of his fans who cringed and screamed immediately after seeing those letters get exactly what I mean. Fucking nigga called AIM. The entire intention was to build super soldiers for AIM's personal army, learning what makes mutate Inhumans tick, killing as many of them as they have to in the name of their game. So pretty predictable stuff, but so it goes. Everyone wants a super army, and if you can learn how to make gods, you can make them mortal once more. After all the world's defenses are down, i.e. the Avengers, AIM instates martial law, curfews, and a capture-on-site policy for all of the Inhuman infected, leading our Kamala to rebel with her newfound polymorphic power. Playing as Kamala is interesting, to say the least. Her quirky stretching and giant hands are always funny to see in action, and my god is she overpowered. But I still don't like playing with her as much as I like playing as everybody else. Kamala is investigated by the Resistance and given an old hard drive from AIM. With some being a fucking nerd magic, she accesses AIM servers and databases via guessing Tony Stark's password? How? She uncovers the truth behind Captain America's death.
This must be the reactor room security footage. Dr. Tarleton. But you're supposed to be on the command deck. Oh, Cap.
Tarleton locks Steve in the reactor room to guarantee his vaporization in the blast.
No way. Tarleton sealed him in? There's no malfunction. He killed Cap. Oh my god, he killed Cap.
And an unknown correspondent contacts Kamala, Tiny Dancer,
Hold me closer, Dr. Dancer.
telling her to rendezvous at the local Avengers Memorial site. Tricked by a seemingly dull mourner, she's kidnapped by AIM.
This can't be our mole.
She's still a liability.
Oh, good. You're awake. I'm so sorry. Those synthoids were only following their security protocols.
Stealing private information is a serious offense.
Monica, give her a moment.
Hey, what's going on? Where are you people taking me?
Somewhere safe. Forgive me. I know I don't quite compare to my holographic counterpart, but it's a nice trick for the shareholders. We can right their wrongs. We can give you back your normal life. Come on, Kamala. Let's do this. Yes? Let AIM help you.
I'll take my chances.
Damn it, George! Get the girl, now!
And must big fist fight her way through hordes of yellow robot assholes.
Some powers? Here we go.
You have reached Yusuf Khan. Please, leave a message and I will return your call.
Hey, Abu. So I took your advice. I'm with Nakia and the others on the retreat. Can you believe there's no cell service out here? I had to hike all the way up to this payphone to make this phone call. Anyway, you're right. We're having a blast. I'll be home late Sunday. Promise I'll be good. Love you more.
After escaping Jersey, she sets off to find the wreckage of the Chimera. Alright, vocabulary section! The Chimera is literally just the new helicarrier. That's what it is. You know what a helicarrier is? That gargantuan hunk of metal? Yeah. But it's like that, but it runs on Terrigen. You know, the thing that blew the fuck up. Oh god, I guess I have to explain that too. Okay, Terrigen. This unknown power source is most speculated to be of Kree origin, you know, Planet Hollow. In the 21st century, Tarleton discovered Terrigen crystals on Earth and began studying them to understand their use. After the reactor's meltdown, the Terrigen mist that spread over the seaboard had begun to mutate a considerable amount of the population. Now, where was I? Oh yeah. Avengers assemble, sorta. Believing that the remnants of the Chimera reside in Utah, Kamala makes her way into the unknown. All alone, leaving her parents in Jersey with little explanation. This is where Kamala's character really shows out, in my opinion. She struggles with being what society considers to be evil and sick, an infected inhuman, and a mutate. She's a living target, so leaving those who'd do anything to protect her is a big step. And might I add, she can't be older than 16, this baby of a human! Upon discovering the Chimera, Kamala was expecting the likes of the Resistance.
You were right, Cap. Terrigen was powerful stuff. Who's there?
But nay, 'tis I, sexy, sexy man, Troy Baker, Bruce Banner, thrust butt behind balls. That's my new favorite acronym.
gotta get out of here. Feeling a little dizzy.
This is where the game really starts to stand out in my opinion, because the relationship between Kamala and Bruce is adorable in every conceivable way. Starting with Kamala's son's getting real lowing Bruce out of his rageful state of dissociation, he's broken, beyond unwell, criticizing heroism, criticizing the Avengers, and denying his own heroism.
But you're Dr. Bruce Banner. You're one of the greatest minds of our time.
Greatest minds? Look at you. Look at what we did. You have no idea how dangerous it is.
Kamala is a shining optimism, Bruce being the ultimate foil of self-degradation and sorrow. She believes in him and their cause, so they must become the best buddy cop duo in this side of the Golden Gate. Yeah. Kamala and Bruce set out to find Jarvis in hopes of finding Tony Stark, letting out the truth about Tarleton. Tarleton was the one who locked Steve in the blast chamber, and therefore right outside of the initial blast. The Terrigen Mist exposure can lead to Terrigenesis, which is the airborne, inhuman virus that AIM's fear-mongering campaign revolves around. So you know that nigga ain't normal. Tarleton took the detonation borderline head-on and was put into a coma for 6 months. After waking, it was made very clear with us that he's become that which he now despises. And he's not a passing inhuman. His cranial structure began to expand and his hairline to recede, to a point where his head was the largest part of his body. Big ups to Square and Crystal for giving us a compelling and interesting MODOK. Oh, if you didn't know, or you weren't paying attention earlier, MODOK, a mental organism designed only for killing, has now vowed to eliminate all powered peoples, and is more than willing to be the final sinner in a world without sin. Akin to, like, a light Yagami figure. You see, he sees his role as the eliminator of crime, killing all the killers and evil men. His sacrifice is being the last evil man, to stand up for his mentally moral cause. The only difference is, MODOK is very sure he's gonna kill himself when this is all over. Now, we got our obvious villain out of the way, let's continue. Upon searching an abandoned S.H.I.E.L.D. compound, our sizably challenged Avengers are accosted by the likes of Emil Blonsky, the Abomination.
What you got there, Cricket? Why don't you let me have that?
I don't think so.
Disappointing. Looking well.
The Abomination Hulk fight is a lot of fun, but being the Hulk at all in this game is incredible. Get it? Man's is fast and strong and he got big jump. He's like epic. Our heroes return to the Chimera, reactivate Jarvis in the hopes of finding Tony Stark.
Push that button. Okay, here goes nothing.
Good afternoon, Dr. Banner.
Whoa. We did it. Tony Stark's super awesome computer pal.
Oh, I'm just a rather very intelligent system. A pleasure to meet you, Miss.
Con. But you can call me Kamala.
And now we can finally complain. Somewhere in the middle of Utah! Nolan North plays Anthony Edward Stark, and I am perplexed. I've never really reacted negatively to the likes of Nolan before. I've consistently loved his work. He's a great Deadpool, an incredible Delson Rowe, and a fabulous Desmond Miles. But Tony Stark. Mans plays Tony like RDJ in everyone's head. Like, this Tony's so out of pocket and borderline annoying that's probably most definitely a writer at fault. And he just sounds too much like Deadpool. So much that the Tony's sassy, dry humored personality doesn't really show. He's far too big, far too bombastic, and it just sits there for me.
Well, Brucey and I are seeing someone about our issues. She's great. Short, stretchy, really good at guessing passes.
It honestly feels like I'm playing as Deadpool in a flying mech suit. Tony is really pissed at Bruce for not defending the Avengers, but instead for damning them with the presses and only succeeding in ruining their reputation to the public. After being shown the truth in Cap's demise, Stark agrees to reassemble the Avengers and reactivates Jarvis. And this is where the game starts to fall off a bit for me. The entirety of Act 2 is slow and grating, and the gameplay starts to feel really repetitive, and these mindless MacGuffin searches across the world. Kamala gets captured again, reminding me of a much different, but more entertaining mutant. Under AIM's security, she learns the cure that B Company has been working on is but a temporary measure, and it's instead killing Inhumans at the genetic level, a super virus, sounding a little familiar again. Eventually, our tiny dancer takes stage late to the rendezvous point. Laura Bailey, Black Widow? Fuck yeah. I'm a Laura Bailey stan. Love everything she does. She's managed to voice so many of the same characters that Tara Strong has done in the past, but my god is Laura. I always complain when Nat doesn't have a Russian accent, but I can't say much because ScarJo never put one on and everyone was fed after she finished her service. Natasha frees the remaining Inhumans in the compound with Kamala and Dr. Opportuni in tow.
Black Widow? What are you doing?
Come on, let's get out of here.
I'm going home. To Jersey. I don't know who I was kidding. I'm no hero.
I don't know, I got a Quinjet full of people who would disagree with you.
I couldn't control it. I keep passing out. I blew it.
Hey. Mistakes are gonna happen. To be honest, Jersey wasn't my finest hour either.
Tiny dancer.
Look, kid. You're already a hero. The only one left to convince is yourself. Come on. Let's get the hell out of here.
And books it for the Chimera. Bruce interrogates Tarleton's right-hand woman, and AIM forces rain fire on the Chimera, leaving the head Avengers to beat up AIM robots and Kamala to defend Jarvis in the console room. Tony and Kamala defend the tech, and in comes the Thunder! Thor repowers the Chimera's engine, saving them from 9/11 Manhattan once more. With a new set of eyes, Cap's death footage is shown again. But now we know that Cap asked to be locked in the fucking chamber?
Towards that heat signature. I've tried, but there's no way to disengage the crystal. Then get out. And seal the door. What? George, go.
No. This can't be right.
Kamala and everyone else playing the game is distraught. Fuck, is he not evil? Like, the Avengers break up again and again.
You really think the world is better without us? Yes.
I'm out of here.
You all have not changed.
And then a few hours after more Italian interrogation, they stop bitching and team up again. The plot's very for the sake of it at this point. Pad out gameplay, go here, fight him, grab this, fight him again. Which is literally a Rockstar-ass loop, but at least Rockstar Loops has a functional variety. Like, I played this whole game solo, which probably only added to how boring it is sometimes. Anyway, after meandering the Avengers planned to send Tony into space and investigate a satellite called the Ambrosia, listening to Kamala's recommended Flight of Icarus by Iron Maiden. On brand, K-squared. On brand indeed. Now here's my biggest flaw with the story. 75% of the way through, game basically over, in space as Iron Man, lit as hell. I'm so glad they had the balls to kill off Captain America. Like, I love him, but it's so nice seeing them dedicated to scaring... No. No. That is a suspiciously human-sized cage. The minute I thought they'd bring him back, he is back. 0 out of 10.
0 out of 10. 0 out of 10! Sometimes you run around in this game, what do you do? This! No, what is this, you may ask yourself? Classic case of 0 out of 10. I didn't realize this game was running on the 0 out of 10 engine. It has really good physics! This!
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Cap reveals to us that he destroyed the reactor so it wouldn't upset the San Andreas fault line.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
This fault line, IRL, is probably the scariest thing that exists in this world to me. Because an 8 or higher on the Richter scale, West Cali is gone. Like, just not there. It is either a new island, or it is underwater. Oh, and the game's almost over. The reason I haven't brought up the score, like, at all, is because it is nothing. Like, literally nothing. It's not very interactive, nor is it fun or bombastic. I mean, by the time that I assembled the team, I just started playing actual Avengers music from Spotify and muting the game music. It fixed it a lot, actually. But alas, the score is like all ass, for real. 0 out of 10, mid music. Now that I've let that out for so long, we can finish up with We Gon Some Avengin. The plan is set. Our men and women rallied. Tarleton's now turned on his one friend in the biz, Rappaccini, and injected her with the same mutagen blockers that she'd been giving him, only expediting his transformation into MODOK. The team gives Kamala a new suit, up to code, signifying her truth and becoming Miss Marvel.
Wait, aren't you gonna say the thing?
What?
You know, Avengers assemble.
Yeah, we don't really say that.
Just be cool, okay?
Got it.
The plan was simple. Storm San Francisco, where it all started 5 years ago, sending in the 4 main male Avengers as a distraction as Kamala and Natasha opened the gates to the SF Bay facility. The other Avengers were to deal with MODOK in a most frustrating and intense boss battle. Tarleton does not fuck around. That metal organism sure is designed only for killing. Iron Man dominates his engines, Cap destroys the Terrigen power source, and Thor uses the Bifrost to teleport through MODOK's force field.
You don't understand! You can't help but hurt others! Only I can stop you!
What is that thing? Kree Sentry.
Overpowered Tarleton summons an actual Kree Sentry to hold off the Avengers, splintering them off into 3 separate teams. After engaging with the likes of the Soviet Spy and American Wonder Boy, Cap and Black Widow destroy his head brace, severing his connection from other technologies.
So much for making you see reason. If you wish to stand with your captain, you can die together.
So in a last-ditch effort, he imposes himself on the Kree Sentry's head, controlling it directly. Initially not involved, and in the fray, Kamala watches Bruce overpowered by the Sentry. crushed by a giant robot arm. Leaping into battle, she pushes herself farther than ever before.
Replace the superpower. Instead, I created something inhuman.
No! This isn't how you make things right! We deserve a chance!
I know you think you can use this power for good, but you're no hero. You're just a mistake.
The only one left to convince is yourself. Embiggen!
Embiggen. Embiggen. The biggest. Bitch goes all out. Right, left, uppercut, slam. She's kicking this whole century's dick in. And I'm playing Royal Talon Fighter to the beat. Kicking his ass. No credits. All is well. The Avengers are heroes again. The world is saved. And justice restored. Not bad. Not bad at all. Easy 7 out of 10 story, very fun and exciting, but definitely predictable. I mean, the gameplay is fine, but very repetitive, although you can find one character that works for you. For me, it was Hulk, Thor, Widow, and you can just have a lot of fun with the combat. Kamala went from being the most annoying person in the cosmos to being the fun and charming little girl that everyone else sees her as. The way that I wish I could always see her. Unfortunately, my love for Kamala Khan would be short-lived, as I would watch the TV show Miss Marvel about a year after that, and I sure did hate it. And then later the Marvels would do the same. But this was not a KK hate thread. I love this iteration, and I wish there was more like her. This game was above average in the state that I played it in, but not all of us were that lucky. A year and a half of post-production material, dwindling numbers, and an unsavory amount of bug fixes are what killed this game. Leaning into micro-cosmetic transactions for skins and almost no way to progress and look good as your Avenger, lest you shill out money to Square and Crystal. That's what killed it. At least I think. A broken mess on delivery, and an incentive to steal Mommy Dearest credit card. But who am I to say anything? I was just named after Spider-Man.